Good morning and welcome to the debate show. I am your host BA along with James Martin and Jack Hirsch. How you gentlemen doing this morning?
Hey, I'm doing well. I noticed I forgot my glasses, and that's a good thing. You want to know why? Because as you get older, your vision is supposed to get worse, but mine's getting better. Just right before the show, I noticed I didn't have it. So
You're a
maybe
walking
then
bill of
again,
health check.
sometimes I don't even want to look at you guys, and maybe this might make it easier today.
Well, thanks a lot for that. I appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely.
I wish we had blurring on it. Right. It is the 27th of December, and we're getting into the new year. But we still have debate questions that are relative, and let's go for it. So we're going to start with the first one here. Was this just an off year for Kansas City Chiefs, or are they now a team in transition? Go ahead, Jack. Give me that one first.
I think it was just an off year for the Chiefs. I expected them to take a dip this season because last year, despite their record, they were living life on the edge. They were winning close game after close game. They'd win a game on a botched snap by the Denver Broncos. They'd win a game because a receiver on the Ravens, his foot was on the line in the end zone just barely. And people keep saying, well, a win is a win. As long as they win, that's all that counts. And we heard that nonsense, but it was deceiving because when they got to the Super Bowl, they got blown out by the Philadelphia Eagles, which showed they really weren't the dominant team we were used to. But this year, they lost a lot of close games. It's the law of averages. You win a ton of close games, and it evens out. And this year, it evened out. They were a lot better team than their record indicated. Even though at the end of the season now, I don't want to say they've packed it in. They're 6-10, but even those games have been competitive outside of the fiasco with Tennessee. They're going to reset next year. They've lost their level of favoritism in the AFC, where year after year they were the favorites with the Bills and the Ravens, snipping at their heels. It won't be quite that way next year. They'll be the hunters instead of the ones being hunted, but they'll be hunters that are going to be close to catching their prey next year because they're going to have their reset, and they're going to be good regardless of whether Travis Kelce comes back or not. Okay, the Kansas City's got a pretty good defense that usually slips under the radar because of the hype around Patrick Mahomes, who'll be back from the injury. It's a question of whether he'll be there for the opening game or not, but knowing the type of competitor he is, he'll be there. The difficulties they had this year, receivers, injuries, suspensions, Rashid Rice, Xavier Worthy, they'll be ready to go. Pacheco, you have to assume is going to be healthy. And the Chiefs are going to come back. They're too talented. They're too good. They have too much of an elite coach in Andy Reid, too much of a solid program. They're going to be back contending for Super Bowl next year. Whether they get to the Super Bowl or not now is questionable. But they're certainly going to be a playoff team. They'll be back.
I don't know about that. Look, injuries happen. Injuries, this is unfortunate. Tom Brady had an ACL tear. The world lost his mind because they thought it was the end of the world. And they bounced back. They did bounce back. But before this injury, Patrick Mahomes didn't look like himself. This is the guy that's thrown twice for over 5,000 yards, once for 50 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, which is unreal. And he's normally in the 4,000 yard range, and he's had great receiving options. We're talking about Tyreek Hill, and which is a stud. A guy was a major stud, and I think it was a mistake for them to let him get out of the building and not pay him. And I think it was a mistake for him to leave. You can squint. You need to put your glasses on because you're squinting even harder.
Coach, I'm squinting. They won a couple of Super Bowls without him. How much a mistake? They went to a few Super Bowls without him.
They did. I'm just telling you, it's going to show itself more so now that likely Travis Kelce is going to be retired.
But Tyreek Hill.
It does matter. It does matter. It does matter.
Yeah.
It does matter when you have like when Tom Brady when he before he retired and he went to Tampa Bay, he made sure to have Gronk in his back pocket and add to a lesser degree Antonio Brown. He knows where his bread was butter. I mean, if I'm getting older, and I know Patrick Mahomes is only 30. I'm not trying to compare them two at those respective junctures of their career. I'm just saying, you know, you're gonna be reliant upon some great players. And look, Joe Montana know he had Jerry Rice. Steve Young had Jerry Rice too, as well. And you got to have somebody that's going to be there, that's going to be a dominant player if you're going to be contending for Super Bowls. Even when the Patriots didn't win the Super Bowl in '07, they still had Randy Moss. They blew out. I mean, they had records that were broken. I'm just saying the numbers. When you look at Patrick Mahomes' numbers, like I said, he's been averaging close to 5,000. He's at least in the upper 4,000s. The past two seasons, I mean, unfortunately, this year he had an injury, has been in the threes. I mean, last year he was like 3,900, and he had maybe like 27 TDs to double-digit interceptions. And he unfortunately went down this year, and he only had 22 TDs and 11 interceptions. And I'm just saying, when people start getting old, meaning Travis Kelce, you can tell that it's starting to show itself, and it shows in their numbers. And look, I get you when you have a combination of head coach and quarterback that are great. You always have an option to be competitive and to get in and win. I mean, Bill Walsh, Joe Montana, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and Andrew Patrick Mahomes. I just think though something needs to be rerouted. I don't know. Maybe I think they're not on a true downward trajectory, but being able to be dominant to try to contend for more Super Bowls and win more Super Bowls. I just think that it's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be a lot harder for them to do it because, again, you continue with age and you got to find the right pieces. And I think they don't have the right pieces offensively to do that. For one, when you're getting older, you better be more reliant on somebody's superstar running back. Look at what happened when Terrell Davis helped out John Elway. Man, it was a big thing. He didn't have to throw the ball as much as he did because they had a great defense, which you need, and you need an excellent running game. And boy, was he ever a great running back. And they don't have that option in Kansas City right now. Pacheco's good. He's okay, but he's not. And first of all, he's oft injured, and he's not consistent with staying on the field. And they don't have anybody else. I mean, Kareem Hunt is past his prime. I mean, the time that he should have been in Kansas City was a time when, he got traded off to Cleveland. And I think that would have been more sufficient for them. They need a stud running back. Maybe somebody like Jeremiah Love. If they draft somebody like him, maybe that would help them out. But for right now, where their trajectory is, I just don't see them being as dominant as they were. I think the time where the dynasty has happened has come to an end.
I'm not going to disagree with the dynasty part of it, but the point I'm trying to make. The Chiefs are more likely to contend for Super Bowl berth than they are to have the type of year that they had this year. They're much more likely to be relevant in the championship picture than not. And they do have the receivers, Rashid Rice and Xavier Worthy. Nothing wrong with those guys. As far as Tyreek Hill goes, come on. I respect Tyreek Hill's talent. At one point, he was the fastest player in the NFL. But if I ask you whether Tyreek Hill is a Hall of Famer, you probably have to say no. He's a little short. Had he stayed with Kansas City, the answer would have been
yes. Is that pun?
No, Tyreek Hill's not a Hall of Famer.
I said it's a pun regarding is he a little short. But I definitely would disagree with that. I think if you look at Tyreek Hill's numbers, you're gonna give him the nod and saying that he'd be close to being in there. I mean, he during his time when they were contending for Super Bowls, when he was there, considering he's a 5th round draft pick, he's far outplayed what he you would have expected of him coming out of I forgot what school he played for,
They
but either
won
way.
2 Super Bowls after Tyreek Hill left. I think they went to 3. They won 2. I believe my numbers are correct. I'm not certain. They were fine without Tyreek Hill. They were fine without him, the Chiefs, for years. So his name shouldn't be emerging right now out of nowhere, especially since Tyreek Hill might not play another NFL game. Who knows whether another team is even going to want him. And listen, you never know. Maybe the Chiefs are going to take a look at him and they'll welcome him back on board, if they could work the money out. That wouldn't be a bad move. I think as long as Tyreek Hill would understand he'd have to be used as a complementary receiver at this point. Maybe that'll change. Maybe he'll have break out again and be very important. But maybe that's a viable fit because we don't know how Patrick Mahomes feels about him, how Andy Reid feels about him. Maybe they have a good feeling towards him and they'll welcome him back. Or maybe with all his baggage, they might feel like who needs this? I don't know.
But I do feel that it's going to be tough to contend. It's going to take a couple of years, and unfortunately, I think the injury plays a major role as well because as you're healing, you're getting older. I mean, although the quarterback position, it's really hard to just say that's going to play a role in him. But unfortunately, Patrick Mahomes kind of falls into the category in the more athletic quarterback because he's not just that type of guy where he's a guy that has some magic when he moves around out of the pocket and rolls out with his legs. And that plays a major role. How this injury will affect him, I don't know. I think he'll improve and heal because he's a competitor. I think he's going to definitely come back. And Andy Reid, and that's another thing. Does Andy Reid want to coach anymore? The question is, I'm not saying that he doesn't, nor shouldn't he, but he is 70 something, and
he's a lifer. You get the feeling that Andy Reid's a lifer. That's all he wants to do, and he's going to coach.
I'd like to believe that. I'd like to believe that, yes.
But we don't know with Andy Reid. Yeah, get
right.
At certain age or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, look, all the greats. Bill Parcells. You thought somebody like him was a lifer, and one day he just said, "No, I got to sit down," and he went to a different direction.
Belichick's a lifer. Pete Carroll's a lifer, apparently.
But now they're looking like older boxers past their prime that probably should sit down somewhere. I mean,
Joe
Paterno
said when he coached before the scandal hit, he has to keep coaching. If he stops, he's going to die. That was Joe Paterno. I mean,
he told the truth, yes.
But that's how some of these guys feel. They just want to coach and they have to be dragged out. As long as they can physically handle the rigors. I mean, that's the whole thing. If you can physically handle the rigors of being a head coach, you do it. If you can't, then it's time.
Yeah, I think Kansas City, they're going to be playing a last place schedule next year, which will bode well for them. It really all depends if Kelsey comes back. If Reed is going to stay there, I haven't really heard too many more grumblings about him not coming back. But Kelsey is the guy that is focused on right now whether he'll retire or not. If he retires, they got to find somebody that's going to match his production out there as a tight end because that's going to change the offense a little bit for Patrick Mahomes. And remember, Patrick Mahomes will probably be coming back late sometime next year too because of the injury he has. So they're going to have to deal with a backup quarterback until that time. So you better make sure all your.
And he could make it for the beginning of the season. He could come, but yeah, he could be ready by September.
Maybe,
yeah, okay.
But you gotta always plan for that it might not happen that way. It depends on how people heal. I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes can't do it. He probably can, but he still have to deal with a different offense basically. And James is right to a T that the running game, they got to get a good running back in there, at least when that's above Pacheco. I love Pacheco when he got in the league, but then he just started immediately dipping downhill. And I'm not understanding that whole situation with him. And Kareem Hunt is, he's right. He's old in the tooth. So as football terms go, he's old in the tooth. So they need some running back in there that can spell and take some hits, like maybe between like a miniature Saquon Barkley and Jahmyr Gibbs. That would be a perfect running back for them. Somebody that has that combined talent. But other than that, I mean, they can still get there. Like I said, they're going to have a last place schedule next year. So they're going to be playing crappy teams next year. So, considerably crappy teams. You never know. We always have those teams that turn it around. And they got a competitive division, so I don't see why they couldn't get back in the playoffs. As far as their dynasty thing is concerned, I mean, they could. I mean, I don't know. It depends what they do next year. If they can rip and go into the playoffs again, I'll say that the dynasty's still alive, but they have to win a Super Bowl within the next 2 years of this turnaround, or else their dynasty is dead to me. But it is what it is. Anyway, next question here. Which team is more likely to have success in the next few years? The Oklahoma City Thunder or the San Antonio Spurs? Go ahead, James.
This is a great question. I really love this because both these teams are very competitive. I knew going in that San Antonio was going to be a problem for teams with Victor Wembanyama and the drafts that they've been able to. I mean, successful draft picks, man. I mean, they added Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper this year. Man, and they traded for De'Aaron Fox. I mean, you got guard play, these big guards, man, that are in there. That's what is making them very successful outside of the big elephant in the room with having a 7'5" center that can actually dominate the game and average 3.1 blocks per game and can shoot from beyond the arc, which is an anomaly. You have a unicorn in the building. But OKC, man, they still show that they're great. I mean, now, mind you, both teams are top in the Western Conference side of the game, and with 1 and 2, both teams, Oklahoma City being 26-5 at number 1 and 23-7 for San Antonio, respectively. But 3 of those games for San Antonio, 3 of those wins are against Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City hasn't beaten them yet this year, but it's been in the past 2 weeks that they played them, and all 3 games have been won by San Antonio. So that's something to look out down the stretch. But however, I still think that one of the biggest issues the question is who can be dominant. It's hard to be dominant more in the next few years because it's a great question, but it's also a question that you have to look at now. That would have been a great question maybe several years down in the past, because teams could have dynasties like Golden State because you didn't have aprons that would affect that. Now you got these aprons that are in the issue. When I say apron, meaning you get penalized for having going over your salary cap after your first apron, then after your second apron. Once you get past that second apron, and you're over the cap, draft picks are getting taken, first round draft picks, trades are being affected, facing huge tax bills as well. So a lot of times that's what you're going to see. That's what you saw in Boston, and it's going to happen this year, this upcoming year, where they're going to start losing players, or they're going to have to start, dropping some players because they're over the tax bill. I mean, they're over the salary cap. So that's a big thing that's going to happen with both San Antonio and Oklahoma City in 27, 28, when those contracts hit, particularly with OKC first, because Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and SGA are both in the $250 million range with their contracts. And so theirs kick in 27 and 28. Oh, actually, yeah. and it's going to be a problem around that time. But before then, they got a small window to be able to keep everybody there and try to win repeat. And so both of these teams are facing that type of issue. So I was like, well, who can be dominant in a short term? And I think right now I'm going to give it to OKC. Why am I going to give it to OKC? Because Wembanyama has a long-standing injury history. As great as he is, as great as a player he's been, he's got some serious injury history, man. When I'm talking about that, he's in 2020, he's had a stress fracture on his fibula. He was out for 3 months. A finger fracture in 2021 when he was out for a month. Shoulder injury, deep vein thrombosis. He was out for the rest of the year. And this year he had a calf strain, and he was out for a few weeks. And this is not an uncommon thing for guys his size, Jack. Guys his size that are slender and lanky, they're more prone to having injuries in that lower half of their body and the leg injuries. We're talking Kristaps Porzingis, Jonathan Isaac, Yao Ming, Sabonis, Z Ilgauskas, and Bill Walton, Rick Smith. All these guys, man, had major injuries to their legs because of the pounding of the legs on the floor and the way they're built, how long their limbs are. So I'm not wishing any of that on this guy, but the history suggests that he's not going to be a consistent player on the court, not because of his game, but because of, unfortunately, anatomy that just won't allow him to be on the court. And so that makes a big difference in being great and dominant versus being, good to, average to good. And I think the rest of those guys are great, but they got to have their play. And the same for Chet Holmgren. He had an issue with one of his legs, but with a Liz Frank fracture or something like that. But because of how he's built as well. But it's yet to be determined how his career will go. He's been okay too as well in regards to injury, minus that one. But I'm going to give it to OKC only because of that, because both these teams are loaded and their future looks bright. But that's the biggest issue for me is the injury history of Wembanyama.
I mean, you make a good point with the size, but I could point to all the great players in the NBA, big guys. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't have an injury history. Hakeem Olajuwon. I'm not saying they haven't one injured a little bit on and off like any other player's been. I don't necessarily go for that, even though you gave some good examples. I'll disagree with you in this. That when you complimented the question could have been put a little better, because the way it was put, now that I look at it, which team is likely to have success? Successes are relative. And it's an unfair question to OKC in comparison to San Antonio, because the answer then if we take the question at face value, the question is absolutely San Antonio is more likely to have success. Because if you look at this year alone, anything short of OKC winning the NBA championship is not a successful year. We could agree on that, okay? They won it last year. If they lose in the finals, no matter how they lose, it's not really a successful year per se, because they didn't repeat as champions when they had all the tools to do it. On the other hand, San Antonio could get eliminated in the second round of the playoffs and say, okay, we took our step towards the championship. This year was meaningful. So they have less of a bar, to reach, at least this year, San Antonio than OKC. We might want to dismiss the 3 games they just played, but it kind of reminded me of Cedric Maxwell. He loved to tell the tale about going up against Larry Bird as a rookie. Larry Bird shows up. Maxwell's laughing to the other players that he's going one-on-one with the rookie to take him to school. Bird scores a quick basket. Maxwell says, that's cool. That could happen to anyone. Now it happens a second time. Now he says he's D'ing up. Now it happens a third time, and he's thinking, this guy's better than me. And that's what might be going through the head of OKC. because that's what SGA was even saying. When the team beats you 3 times in a row like that, they're better than you, at least at this point. Now the burden's on OKC to regroup and get it right come playoff time. But of course, you're correct, James. If Wemby is out, all bets are off. San Antonio's not better. They've lost their favoritism. Wemby's clearly the guy going forward. And if you believe Wemby is going to stay on the court for the most part, you got to believe you're looking at one of the greatest players in the history of the NBA when all is said and done. On the short list, I'm talking about top 5 of all time. Arguably, he could ascend to number 1 if he matures. I mean, who knows even. And the other additions that you pointed out, with Dylan Harper, Castle and all, it's just DeAndre Fox. It just seems like this is a team that has the makings of being very special, being the next Golden State Warrior type team, having that type of success. As far as OKC goes, we thought they were going to be that team as little as a few weeks ago. They get off to a phenomenal start. They were like 20-1 or whatever. And SGA was talking about setting the NBA regular season mark for best record. And now that talk is, left. OKC's thinking of themselves as maybe the second best team in the NBA, and they're trying to right the ship. I gotta trust that Wembanyama is going to be healthy. You might be correct, James. Injuries might be an issue, but assuming, and you can't assume anything with any play I know, but assuming he's healthy, everyone takes the court for the most part. There's more upside going forward with San Antonio. I think OKC is as good as they're ever going to be. They're not going to get better. On the other hand, San Antonio is only going to get better.
Yeah, the only thing I agree with most of what you said, but I mean, in regards to the injury history, it's just the evidence is just laid out. I mean, this is not something that's new to him. This is something that happened when he was in France. So I'm mentioning those years. This is time that he's missed. And people like Kristaps Porzingis, you saw what happened. I mean, what type of talent that Kristaps has, and he got
to play enough. His teams weren't good. He went to the Wizards, the Hawks. He had a virus with the Celtics when they played, but he was able to take the court. It wasn't because of his big body. Look at LeBron's big body. Would anyone have thought he would last this long with his body type?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. But at the same time, LeBron is a Iron Man in the gym and everything else. He took care of himself. I'm not saying these guys don't work out or anything like that, but again, we're talking about physics. The way LeBron is built versus someone like, these two guys that are 7 foot and how slender they are. It's a little different. The physics is a little different in how their body is, regarding leverage and how they move. And there's just a lot of stress the stress is a lot higher on those type of limbs than it would be on somebody like LeBron James. And again,
why do we put down the old timers like Wilt Chamberlain, who never missed games? He missed all of 13 minutes one season. This guy was jumping up and down constantly.
But he was a physical marvel, man. I mean, we're talking about another unicorn that he wasn't just tall. He was like built like a god, man. He was like incredible, his size. And you didn't see nobody you don't see too many guys like that now at that height, built like that, so he's a one-off. I almost wouldn't even include him, just how he was built. But with that said, I still think OKC bounces back. They might not, maybe they're reading the press clippings because the last few games that they've lost, it's within the last 7 games, the games that they've lost, those 4 games, and 3 of them came from one team. So I think they're still going to be dominant. They're still going to probably go for the record, but they got to realize that they got a team that's that is in the West that they got to contend with, and that's the Spurs. But I like OKC and their talent. Their talent is just as good as well. I mean, Jalen Williams is back, And so I think that's going to be good for them.
Yeah, I think, but you know, I gotta go in a different direction with this one because I think OKC at this point in time is going to have a lot of good success, but over the course, like the question says, over the next few years, I think San Antonio is going to take over that position because they have a lot of younger players on their team too. And Wemby, like everybody says, is a phenomenon. And whether he is injured or not, the times that he's in there, he's going to be great for that team. He's one of those guys that just stand out. And Oklahoma, I like SGA, but it's going to come to the point. I think that what it is San Antonio is the more younger of the two teams, basically, if you look at it. Now, the Oklahoma City came out, 3 years ago? They were a young team. And then they got into the championship. They went to the playoffs in 1 year, and they got in the championship the next year. San Antonio is kind of on that same course. And this is, I think this is a team that Oklahoma. I think the thing with San Antonio is, yeah, you can beat the Oklahoma, City Thunder 3 times, but it's the other teams that you have to play too. They have 7 losses to OKC's 5, so we got to put that in perspective. You got to beat other teams too. And the Western Conference is a tough conference. So
only problem I have with that is that SGA is averaging 32 points a game, second in the league. And he's a defender. He's a two-way player that averages 32 points. A lot of people aren't giving this guy the credit that he deserves. And he kind of, to be honest with you, when I watch him play, I'm not going to take away from what Jordan was. But I kind of liken somebody like him that shoots. He don't shoot a lot of threes. He shoots in the perimeter. And he's got a high percentage of in perimeter shooting that he makes them. And he's averaging 32 points, man. And then he's got 2 players. Jalen Williams is his number 2, who's a dominant player himself he can take over when he needs to, if he needs to. But man, it's just hard. If you keep those 2 guys together, that we talk about coaching. I mean, and the coaching is great there. But we talk about 3 key players there: Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and SGA. Those guys, there's a formula for winning, man. You can shake your head all you want, Jack.
No, I agree. Actually agree with this point because you want to try to develop a core. I got to laugh about this. My grandson he lives in Utah. He's a big Utah Jazz fan, and he texts me a lot about the Jazz. And I look at the box score last night, and there are 2 rookies, Ace Bailey and William Clayton. Neither of them scored a point, last night. And how do you not score a point between the 2 of them? And they got enough minutes. You put them on a team like OKC or San Antonio, they become much better players, much better, and they fit into the nucleus. It depends. But when you have a core like OKC has, SGA, Holmgren, Williams, the other guys become better around them.
Mm-hmm.
And like Shaq said, the others, where you have what's the kid's name? Man, he came out of LA. I forgot what's his name. He's bald headed. I forgot he played with the Los Angeles Lakers. I can't think of the kid's name. Wow. But anyway, he got paid. He's got like $80 million. He's bald headed. What's this guy's name? Out of Texas.
Is he a rookie?
No. He played with LeBron.
Paid $80 million. He had to be good. 80.
Yeah. Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso.
Right.
Yes. Alex Caruso has been a great player addition for them. He's an excellent defender, a 3-and-D guy.
Hey, look, James, what people forget. No, you mentioned I got started to cut in, but Julius Randle was a Laker, and they got rid of him. Imagine they held on to Julius Randle this whole time the way they could have. You don't think some of these teams sometimes you let a jewel get away.
Yep. And Lakers did. I mean, obviously he won a championship with the Lakers in 2020, but they let him go instead of paying him the money, man. And I think it hurt him for sure because he's just a gritty player that everybody needs that 6 man. Yeah.
If you put Brunson on the Mavs now, imagine they held on to him the whole time. you're thinking championship, Brunson, Flag, Kyrie, Davis, etc.
Yeah, I mean SGA, he was with the Clippers, and they let him go. They let him go. So I mean, it's crazy stuff. Yeah, I just that's why everybody deserves to be fired in the Clipper organization. But uh,
Yeah. You
For
know
real.
what is? I kind of wonder what Jeff Van Gundy's doing there as the defensive coordinator. Even though I have a hard time coming to grips with that term in basketball, Van Gundy, you would think could get a head coaching job somewhere, but he's comfortable assisting Tyronn Lue, who apparently he gets along wonderfully with. And it's a bad situation with the Clippers. I mean, you kind of wonder.
I think the situation with Chris Paul is probably going to expose more than more than meets the eye. It's a lot of stuff underground. It's just not. Chris Paul, I think, was a scapegoat, even though he probably was a bit of
No
a
one
issue
picked
there.
him up, James. Did anyone pick him up since they let him go? That's revealing in itself.
Of course, I agree with that. I'm not saying that he's absolved of anything. I'm just saying he wasn't. There's when a marriage is not good, a lot of times it's usually some parts on both sides that just cause it to dissolve. And I think there's some other issues that were there that probably he recognized. And again, somebody his age, I know we discussed this before. Somebody his age shouldn't be just going as hard as he should. But he did probably expose some other problems there because clearly he's not there and they're not good. So there are some other
Uh,
issues there.
I would expect nothing less from you, James, being an Isaiah backer from the Isaiah Thomas, school.
Absolutely. I'm going to always support Isaiah for
Isaiah.
sure.
Yeah, we got to get
Isaiah,
Isaiah on the questions. I like talking about Isaiah. I don't know why.
he's polarizing still to this day. But
You like him,
he,
Jack.
he he's he's still one of the greatest point guards that ever played the game. Even Michael
Yeah,
Jordan
that
in the
is.
last dance gave him his props in regards to who he was.
He was great. No beef there at all.
Yeah. But as far as this question is concerned, you got to look at the rosters right now. I was just taking a gander at the rosters. There are 7 players from Oklahoma City that are scoring average of 10 points or more, and there's 8 on the San Antonio Spurs. So contention, those 2 teams are going to probably be battling for the next 3 or 4 years for that number 1 spot. That's just, my opinion. But these 2 teams are talented roster wise. So if they can keep their rosters basically intact for the next 2 or 3 years, 4 years, these are going to be some good battles between these teams. All right. So next question. And this is going to be something that we just started to do today on this show. Me and Jack are going to go at it about Jared Goff. So James is going to be the moderator. So let me prep this a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, I can go first if you want me to, because I'm sure you might want to count. Unless you want to go first, Brian. You won the coin toss on this one.
I defer.
Yeah. Okay, so basically the question is Jared Goff one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL? And I'm turning right here now, even though I know all the starting quarterbacks in the NFL now. I don't want to miss the particular. Why the heck is this coming on? I don't know. Sometimes you hit a button and you get basketball coming on, and I'm hitting the NFL here. Forget that. I'll get it off the top of my head. The answer is no. Jared Goff isn't one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. Is he a good quarterback? Absolutely. He is a good quarterback. He's a solid quarterback. But if I have to grade him, I'm a professor of quarterbacks. Jared Goff's final papers are handed in, the type of quarterback he is now and everything. He gets a B. That's his grade for the semester, not just this year, for past years as well. He's taken a team to the Super Bowl in the LA Rams, where they scored a measly 3 points under his leadership there. Okay, he didn't play well in that game. He played dreadfully, if you want to know the truth about it. And there's a reason the LA Rams moved on from Jared Goff. not because he wasn't a good quarterback. To take the next step, you needed a better quarterback, and they got one in Matthew Stafford. And Matthew Stafford's certainly a better quarterback than Jared Goff. I mean, even you're going to agree with that on me, Brian. You have to. I mean, you know Matthew Stafford. You've seen him over the years compared to Jared Goff. If you had a choice between either guy, you know, you would take Matthew Stafford over Jared Goff, I'm sure. I mean, there are a number of other guys as well. I mean, their young quarterbacks were on the way up now. Drake May. How do you take Jared Goff over Drake May? You can't do that right now. CJ Stroud is on the rise. You don't take Jared Goff over CJ Stroud. I'll give you Caleb Williams for now because he's still making mistakes. Jared Goff is a little ahead of Caleb Williams right now. I'll even give you Jordan Love and say, you know, Jared Goff, I'll put him a little ahead of Jordan Love right now, and even Baker Mayfield. I'll give you that for the time being. The way Baker's been playing the second half of the year, hurt or not, I'll give you that much. But and I'll give you Sam Darnold as well. But now we look at other quarterbacks, he's certainly not ahead. He's not ahead of Dak Prescott. He's not ahead of Jalen Hurts. He's not ahead of Patrick Mahomes. He's not ahead of Joe Burrow. Lamar Jackson is hurt. He's certainly better than Jared Goff when you look at everything Lamar Jackson has heroically done. Josh Allen is miles ahead of Jared Goff. Don't even insult Josh Allen and bring him into the conversation. Or, well, Patrick Mahomes is injured right now, but come on. Don't insult Patrick Mahomes by putting Jared Goff ahead of him. Is he a top 10 quarterback? He's not ahead of Justin Herbert. No, he's not ahead of him. He's a good quarterback, Jared Goff. There's nothing wrong with falling in somewhere between 12 and 15. Nothing wrong with that at all. And I just named about 10 guys that are close to it, I think. I mean, let me see if I could get this again because this silly thing is like coming up. Wait. Let me X this off. Okay, now I can get my ear.
Jack is getting KO'd by technology.
I'm annoyed what happens. Okay, let me just get the standings here, and I'm going to go over team after team. I'll name the 10 guys. Drake May's ahead of him. Okay, well, let's run it by J Train as am I talking. Is that okay with you, Brian? Okay, Drake May. Would you take Drake May ahead of Jared Goff? You have a choice of a quarterback. You would.
I wouldn't do it because of the he doesn't have a list of. He's a rookie, man. Second year rookie.
But yeah, he's a special talent. You would take Jared
if you asked me a question, if I saw him doing what Patrick Mahomes did his second year, then yes, I would take Drake May. But I don't see him doing that. I see you're taking away from the. I don't want to step on Brian's toes here, but you're taking away from what he's done overall. His overall every year in and year out, particularly in Detroit. I mean, he's carved up some defenses, man. I mean, offensively, I've seen him. I mean, accurate. My man's got 72.4%. I think he led the league with the completion percentage, and he had almost 5,000 yards thrown. So, I mean, just hard to really put. No, I'm not going to put.
Can we agree? How does it sound? Can we agree that Jared Goff is going to be a quality quarterback for the next few years? Let's all agree on that. Okay.
Yeah.
So the quarterbacks I'm naming, even though they're young, they don't have a lot of accomplishments. Let's project what we think they're going to be the next 4 years and compare them to Jared Goff. That's what I'm doing with Drake May, how he's playing now and how he's likely to play. And you would still take Jared Goff over Drake May, you're saying?
Mm-hmm. I would.
Yes, because the skin's on the wall. I just think that you can't.
Okay. I got a Keith Engel and myself going to follow up on the Drake May Goff thing, on you, J Train. But okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's do it. Josh Allen.
Definitely Josh Allen. Come on.
Yeah, if you said Jared Goff, I would turn it over to Brian. I would be done. Okay, we agree he's better than anyone on Miami. We agree he's better than anyone on the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is all going forward, and now maybe let's give Joff an edge, even though I'm not sure that Joff is better than Rodgers at this moment. But I'm willing to go ahead with that. But no, Rodgers is an older guy, now.
Yeah, exactly. We're not talking about prime Rodgers.
Right.
We're talking about Rodgers now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Rodgers.
Lamar Jackson rates ahead of Jared Goff. He's had injuries.
Yes.
He's well done.
Assume he's going to come back. Joe Burrow rates ahead of him. I mean, don't tell me that Goff is on the level.
I put Joe Burrow on my list. I put him ahead of.
Goff is ahead of Shador Sanders. We have to.
Without a doubt.
Don't put any rookies up against him.
Okay, Trevor Lawrence is ascending now. I think he's going to be Trevor Lawrence.
But he's not. I'm not going to put him ahead of John.
I think if you're talking about the next 4 years. Okay, but you don't feel that way. Okay.
No. Well, let me say why. Let me say why on that. Because he's had enough years to say that he can ascend and do things, and he hasn't proven that. And he's had talent. He's had talent. That's the thing. He's had talent there. So no, I'm not going to put him ahead.
CJ Stroud.
No.
You say,
and I like CJ Stroud, but I just think he's inconsistent. He's inconsistent. He's been inconsistent.
And Jared Goff isn't inconsistent. Daniel.
No, he's not.
Jared Goff is not inconsistent. The offensive line is inconsistent. Is there that causes some of the problems?
Cam Ward.
No.
Okay. Okay, Denver now.
No, not Bo Nix. No.
Justin Herbert.
No.
I got him two people behind him on my top 10. I got Justin Herbert behind him.
You have Jared Goff over Justin Herbert.
Yes.
Man, I'm missing something at Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, definitely Mahomes. Come on.
Yeah, I think we have 4. Jalen Hurts.
Believe it or not, I got Jalen Hurts behind Jared Goff.
I got to throw in the towel, but I'll finish up anyway. Dak Prescott.
I got Prescott ahead of Jared Goff.
So what do we have? We have about 4, 5. I lost count here. Jaden Daniels.
Behind him.
Second-year quarterback. Come on.
Yeah.
So the next few years, you would rather have Goff than Jaden Daniels.
He's only 31.
That's not the question. The question is he is in the top 10. That's the question.
I disagree with you guys. We could keep going on and on. I mean, Brock Purdy.
I got Goff ahead of Purdy.
Okay, so you're obviously very high on Matthew Stafford.
Matthew Stafford ahead. I got him ahead. We're talking about top 10. I got Matthew Stafford ahead.
Hey, Baker Mayfield.
Yes. I got Baker Mayfield behind him.
Okay, Young with Carolina.
Oh, man. Oh, are you kidding me? Come on. I got Goff.
Your boy Kirk Cousins.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so that's based on Sam Darnold.
No.
Okay, so you according to you, James, you not only have Jared Goff as a top 10 quarterback, I think the numbers say you have him number 5.
No, I got
quarterback in the NFL.
Let me tell you my list.
Over to you, Brian, to give you the floor.
I'll give my list and I'll let Brian go. I got Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott, and then I got Jared Goff, and I got Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, and Baker Mayfield. That's my list.
Okay.
Well, the only thing I'll say before you go, Brian, what an insult to Jalen Hurts with all he's accomplished, but whatever.
I mean, what is he accomplished? I mean, everything is a team base anyway. Wins and losses are team based. Last year, he didn't do anything. He didn't have to do anything. Only thing he had to do was use his feet and let Saquon do the running. And Jalen was running just to offset everything. I don't know why they couldn't regurgitate that offensive play calling from last year to this year, but whatever. I'm not a NFL head coach, so I can't tell you.
So off the numbers alone, Jack, you like to say someone you mentioned that this quarterback we're talking about, Jared Goff, is an excellent game manager. I think it's the opposite. I think Jalen Hurts is an excellent game manager. His numbers stay tight and close to the vest. I mean, they're not. He doesn't put out a whole bunch of numbers, but he takes care of the ball and he throws more. He always has a better ratio of touchdown to interception ratio, and he's able to run the ball when needed in spells.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, and there's a reason that some of the receivers complain about not getting the ball because they limit with how much he can throw the ball. To me, that tells me that they're trying to protect him and take him away from mistakes. And so Jared Goff, he can unleash the ball and throw the ball because he has the weapons and he gets the ball to them. He can throw in tight windows and he's very accurate with the ball. To me, that shows that he's the type of quarterback that you can use to lead your team to higher success. And I think part of it, the reason that they haven't succeeded is their offensive line interiorly. And to me, in my opinion, the offensive coordinator this particular season, the play calling has been suspect. And so I definitely the success has been there for Jared Goff. And I'm a firm player to say that I didn't like him in LA and I thought he was okay. But then when he came to Detroit and started showing not only success, he started showing that he was better than what he was in LA. I think, yeah, he deserves his credit and his due. And I had to give it to him. He got it from me.
Well, the debate just went near. But anyway, let me get into this for you, Jack. I'm a stat guy, kind of like James is down there. Okay, so this is what Jared Goff has done over the last 5 years in Detroit compared to the rest of the quarterbacks in the NFL. In the last 5 years, Jared Goff is second in passing yards. The only person above him is Patrick Mahomes. Goff is fifth in completion with 67.8. The four quarterbacks above him, Burrow, Tua, Geno, and Kyler, amazingly enough. Goff is third in TDs with 148, behind guess who? Allen and Mahomes. Goff is fourth in rating with 100.9. Purdy is above them. Burrow and Jackson are all above him in that. Goff is seventh in getting sacked with 158, along with Mayfield, Herbert, Smith, Wilson, Burrow, and Hurts. So that tells you the offensive lines ain't exactly what they are. This year, second most TDs in his career this season. Second best rating of his career this season. Sacked 36 times, most in his career this season. Second most completion at 68.3 this season. And he don't have an offensive line that he had in the last 2 years. So if you can tell me that Goff is not a top 10 quarterback based off those, and that's without an offensive line. People say, oh, he can't do nothing without an offensive line, and they come after him and blah, blah, blah. Any quarterback is going to be succumbed under pressure anytime. Now, I'm not saying like this Minnesota game is a set that people are always, well, he can't get the job done when he needs the job done. Well, dude, he threw 3 touchdowns and threw for almost 300 and something yards against Pittsburgh in a game they had to win as well, but they didn't win. It ain't nothing. It's got those kind of things on. Goff is handling his business this year. And all the years that he's been in Detroit, he's handling his business. Now, Washington last year definitely was his fault. Okay, not going to take that. I can't even defend that. But the year before, when they went to San Francisco, it wasn't his fault that his quarterbacks had dropped. As a matter of fact, when they played the Patriots in LA, you said he played a bad game. He didn't play a bad game. He had a whole bunch of receivers dropping balls when they shouldn't be dropping balls. In fact, the one receiver that was there that year that was dropping balls was the same receiver, Josh Reynolds, just dropping balls in the end zone when they played the Patriots. He dropped a touchdown in the end zone, if you remember that game. So, no, I'm not. Goff is a good quarterback. Is he better than Stafford? Is he better than in Mahomes and Burrow? No, I don't. That's why I say he's like a top 5 quarterback, top 6 quarterback, somewhere around there. I put him in that category. But and then people say, well, why did they trade Goff out of the Rams and get in Stafford? Like Stafford, okay. I love Stafford. Stafford's my guy. He's always been my guy. But the fact that you telling me that because Goff went to a Super Bowl with the Rams, but he's all of a sudden can't get it done, and Stafford can all of a sudden get it, and he had never been to a Super, he's never gotten, well, because of the teams around him, he's never been able to get the Lions to the Super Bowl. But all of a sudden, he's a superstar quarterback that's going to come to the Rams and save everybody. Get out of here. When he got to the Rams, okay, the Rams also added a whole bunch of players on their team. Defensively, as a matter of fact, Von Miller was put on that team. They already had Jalen Ramsey. You got to remember they got Odell Beckham in that year. So it was like that team was set up for them. They had a great offensive line, a pretty good running game, and their defense was stellar. You got to remember that also Stafford threw 17 interceptions that year. 6 of them were returned for touchdowns. But your team, if you got a good team around you, you can come back from that. That's just that. Goff has a good team, but there's setbacks that they have been having every year. Like last year, they got everywhere they wanted to be at. I can't apologize for Goff last year. I can't. I can not sit here and coat that with butter because it ain't gonna work. But the year before that, when they were 14-3, nobody thought they were going to get an NFC conference, and they got there. And they damn near took out San Francisco in the first half. It was the second half that bit them. So again, Super Bowl rings are a team accolade. Super Bowl rings are important. Damon, come on. Regardless of that point, stats get you to get Super Bowl rings. Okay. It's a team thing. And people have to start realizing that about quarterbacks. It's teams that don't put wins and losses on a quarterback. It ain't the quarterback's responsibility to always win the game. You got to have a defense. That's why you have a defense.
To respond to that commenter, are you really going to not acknowledge Dan Marino because he got to one Super Bowl and never got to another one ever? Come on.
Perfect example. So you're going to poo-poo Dan Marino and John Elway. I consider him one of the best quarterbacks ever to play the game because the dude took all these teams to the Super Bowl without knowing nobody knows their damn receivers half the time. They had no running game. Their offensive line was pretty stellar, and he took them to the Super Bowl only to get blown out by NFC teams because NFC teams back in the day were running teams. You had to run to beat them. They had good run and good defenses, and that's what killed. And AFC was a passing league at that time. So when he got a running back, guess what happened? They won 2 Super Bowls in a row. How about that? So it takes a team to win and have accolades. Quarterback, we're talking about individually during a season. He's a top 10 quarterback. I don't care what nobody says. All right. They do this stuff to Lions quarterbacks all the time. I had to defend the same thing with Stafford when he was playing here. I said, this dude is absolutely a phenomenal quarterback. He's just on the wrong team because they don't want to build around him. And that's what happened. Now they have a team that they build around Goff. Goff is doing absolutely well with this year, not included, but he still put up career numbers this year. And he should have been in a Pro Bowl, especially over Sam Darnold. But, of course, it's about winning teams and all that BS. Politics suck in the NFL. But anyway, that's my proof to the top 10 tier. I think he should be top 10. And, I switched the Goff and Dak around there, James, but I think he's a little bit better than Dak. But, yeah, we're on the same page in that. Your list is about as close to mine as mine. So I don't know what you're doing, Jack. I don't know. I don't know what you're looking at, Jack, out there on Sundays.
We've run out of time. The final whistle went. We shook
Yeah.
hands on the field, and
yeah, we're good though. But yeah, that's why I saved that for last, because I figured that was going to be, Anyway, thank you all out there. Damon, thank you for being in the comments. And thank you, Richard, for showing up too. Everybody out there that listened and saw us, have a great rest of your day. Catch us tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock for the big football show. Me, Jack, James, and Keith. Have a great
And Sonia.
Oh, yeah, Sonia might pop up. Yeah, that's iffy. But anyway, she might pop up. She might have a guest role. But anyway, everybody have a great rest of your day. See you tomorrow.